Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. I am, of course, from Charlie Butler. I think, Bobby, I'm Charlie Butler, aren't I?
Last I checked, yes.
Okay.
That's what your birth certificate says.
How did you see my birth certificate?
Don't you worry about it. I have my ways.
Okay. All right. Of course, as she is every Sunday, my co-host over here, Candace DeArmond, who is the president of Butler DeArmond Real Estate Network, which is the owner of the Charlie Butler team. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Tri-State.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay.
For those that haven't listened the last couple of weeks, Candace recently got engaged.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for Josh, but, it's Josh is her boyfriend, but, he seems like a nice guy. Just poor judgment.
Yeah.
Everybody has that weak moment, So,
Yeah.
But no, Josh bought her a beautiful ring, and it's really pretty. So, and no, Candace deserves somebody really nice.
Yeah. My broken picker is, maybe I found a good one. I don't know. He might have a head full of freezers in a basement somewhere. It's possible.
A head full of freezers?
Or a freezer full of heads. That's what I meant. I mean, I don't know. Could be that too. I don't know. Yeah. It could be.
And no, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And
but again, I haven't seen what's in the freezer.
No, I can't ask you about it. I know.
Don't.
No.
Let's just move on. Kathy. We've got Kathy French with us this week. We're going to move right along.
Okay. You know the story I want you to tell.
I'm going to go ahead and just,
Hi,
you're going Kathy.
Hi.
How are you doing this week?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. How's the want to say hi to the Tri-State? Thanks for listening with us.
Yes. And so, Kathy, you were with us last week also, but for those that didn't listen, actually, I think the first 15 to 20 minutes is the highest listenership we have because people are going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And so
they have got to go to church after listening to the Charlie Butler Show.
little boy goes in there and says, Pastor, what's OnlyFans? I just heard Charlie Butler ask Candace for a number.
The realtor from the Charlie Butler Show said, we're not going to go into that story.
You don't let me do it. You won't let me have any fun.
I know. I want the trap door on his to where he just falls through the floor whenever we just press the button and there goes Charlie.
You don't know how close I came to starting that story about your boyfriend.
Oh, I would.
Your ex-boyfriend. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to not do that.
Yeah.
We need a button that we can push and mute him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I like the trap door idea better. That's why I sit in this chair.
Poor
and
Charlie.
Not the closer, not poor Charlie. No.
So, Kathy, how long you been in real estate?
28 years.
And
I moved over here to Keller Williams in December, and it's the best move I've ever made.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you.
We are definitely
really
glad
are.
to
It's
have
just
you.
really, really super. They're just great to work with.
Well, Kathy is very, very professional, very good at what she does. So we'll say it at the end, but we'll say it again here at the start, Kathy. How can they get a hold of you?
Keller Williams Capital Realty, or my cell phone number at 812-499-8872, or you can email me at kathyfrench@kw.com.
So give Kathy a call, or because she's very, very customer service oriented. Last week we were talking about customer service. There was something I meant to bring up.
Well, I would like to, before, go ahead. You go ahead. This is something about Kathy. Kathy actually had mine and my ex-husband's house listed several years ago.
Really?
And she did a very good job. We did not sell, but it wasn't because of Kathy. It was because we had been building a house and didn't. Anyway, we got divorced. So, long story short.
Can I tell the recent story about your ex-husband?
No. No. No stories.
You won't have any fun
No
at all.
stories.
No fun.
No,
I
none.
just want to have a little fun.
No stories.
No stories.
No.
No stories about the past bit in your life, huh?
No.
Okay.
No stories.
All right. Well, but anyway, back at the ranch here. These two I know both are very customer service oriented, and we talked about that last week with both of you. And there's a statistic out, and I don't have these numbers exact, but they're within a couple percentage points. So, 80% of the people that you represent, buyer or seller, would use you again. They were happy with you. They'll use you again. 28% of the people do. Mm-hmm. And the number one reason was they couldn't remember your name.
Yeah.
Because you didn't stay in touch.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure for those that do stay in touch, whether it be through drip campaigns, which for those that don't know, those are just campaigns where realtors email you to, a happy birthday, happy anniversary, different things like that, recipes. But anyway, for those, and call every once in a while, it's the other day. For those that stay in touch, I'm sure it's higher. Mm-hmm. I'm sure but Candace, I know you have a lot of people who come back to you. Mm-hmm. So what do you attribute that to?
I think, I kind of become friends with my clients a lot of times. We end up having a different thing. I like all kinds of different people, and even though if we don't have a lot in common, I don't care. I think it's fun to learn from people and, learn about them. And so I think that's part of it. And I don't really know Charlie, I guess, because I think whenever I have a client, they know that I work really hard for them.
So, you do. And, I know you're being modest, but you also know that, you stick with them,
Yeah, even though some of them have some really crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
sure.
yeah. Those are, sometimes you'll get someone and you're like, what are you talking? That is never going to work. But, sometimes you can go in and kind of redirect a little bit and get things to where it's a happy medium between,
Was that you? I don't think this was you, but I don't remember for sure. For some reason, I'm thinking it's either you or it's Justin Long. Mm-hmm. It was a few years ago when this lady called and she wanted to start a bicycle shop. Sell like nice bicycles and stuff. And it was in a town within about 30 miles from here. And she was going to have a bake sale to raise the money for her bicycle shop.
That was not me.
I think that was Justin.
But I don't think it was Justin. I think it might have been Trevor that happened with. Yeah, I think that might have been Trevor.
Okay.
It was somebody that is on our team now. I'm pretty sure it was Trevor.
Okay. It may have been.
Yeah.
And because he talked to me about it, I said, Trevor, or I didn't remember who it was, David. How are they going to raise that much money in a bake sale? Because it's going to take a lot of money to do what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Probably a couple $100,000. And it's going to be a heck of a bake sale, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But anyway, and we also need to talk about our sponsor, Bossy Title, and when you go, for the realtors listening, there's just there's a lot of title companies out there, and many of them do very good jobs. I'm not putting the other ones down, but Bossy. We just talk about customer service, Candace. There's a great example right there.
They have done an excellent job. I had a really tough deal, and Claire over at Bossy, she had just happened to be in our office one day, and she was like, "Okay, let me look into this. Here's my cell phone. Call me if you get, there was another piece of information that we were trying to get. She said, if you get that from the seller, call me. And just on it. And she wasn't in the office, and she still was. Now, I wouldn't recommend calling anybody at Bossy outside of business hours or on their personal phones. But whenever it comes down to it, they will go the extra mile. And Jeff Bossy as well. I mean, he might own the place, but he still gets in and he'll make those calls and do what he needs to do.
I can look up his cell number real quick here and just.
I don't think Jeff would be very appreciative of us giving his cell phone
He's
number
already
out.
told me. He's already made some
I
threats, possibly.
Yeah, I think that those were promises, not threats. But
Bossy Title, and for those Law and Order fans that think Claire Kincaid got killed in a car wreck in Law and Order, no, she is at Bossy Title now, and looks very young to have a show that she was playing on there 20 years ago.
I think Claire said she's 27 or 28.
Yeah, she would.
She works at Bossy, but apparently on Law and Order. I'm also too young to remember that.
Law and Order is on everywhere.
I know. I don't remember Claire Kincaid.
Claire Kincaid was the first. But once Sam Watterson got on there, she was the first assistant district attorney.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Claire is at Bossy, but she has the same name as this character that was on Law and Order a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying she really was.
No.
What were we saying earlier?
Well, I know one thing that we were talking about on the break is some pointers for people to be able to get their house.
Thank you.
Spring is right around the corner, and everybody wants to list in the springtime. So that's one thing. Whenever I talk to people and they say, "Oh, we're going to list in the spring," well, keep in mind that you've got a lot more competition out there if you wait until spring. So one of the things we were talking about are things that you can do to get your house ready so it stands out on the market. You don't have to wait till spring to do these things or to list. But Kathy, are there any things that you specifically do and tell clients, or is it?
Basically, just make sure it's clean. I always tell them to turn the lights on when they leave, especially if it's at nighttime. Then it shows you walk in and everything looks really, really good. And then, of course, if you have any pets, try to make sure that they are either put in a kennel, or if they're very friendly, just don't let them out. I had that happen on a home up in Princeton, and I didn't even know there was a cat in the house, but it was in the garage, and it was the owner's daughter's cat, and they were watching it. And I thought she was going to lose her mind. And I told her, I said, we didn't even know there was a cat there. You should have. That's something that the realtor should have told us, to make sure. And I said, I never even saw it. But it ended up that they got it back in about an hour. But so thank goodness that worked out. But I ended up selling the house, so that worked out good.
Oh, that worked. One thing that I tell people, and it's such an inexpensive thing to do that spruces up your house, but go get some mulch and put it down in your flower beds. And even if you're not someone who gets out and works in the yard,
that's a good
get
idea.
some fresh mulch, put it down. If you don't want to plant flowers, you can get some pots of flowers and put them out there, or not, but it freshens everything up. So that's something that I always, point out to people. I have put down mulch in yards in a dress because the lady didn't. We were just getting ready to list it, and she had called, and she had 3 kids, a lot of things going on. And I was like, okay, I'll be right there. I was at a graduation party, and I went and was putting mulch down in the yard, and it looked much better in the pictures.
Well, I heard this. I haven't been in the business all that long. Was you spend $500 to $1,000 in landscaping, and you increase your price $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does make a difference.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you cut your grass.
Yes.
And I've done that. I've gone and cut grass on a house. One of the another house I had where the basement had flooded. So my husband and daughter and I went over there and got all the water out and everything. And it was just an area that, thank goodness, wasn't anywhere as near the other side of the basement that had furniture and stuff in it. So that worked out good there. But there's just so many things that I've done that try to, help to help sell the home.
Yeah.
It's just something that we do.
Yeah, it is. It's well, a good agent should do.
Right.
So
correct.
yeah, that's a big one. Clutter, and you said about cleaning things up.
Right.
A lot of times whenever people live in a house, especially if they have kids, the clutter is a big thing. And one thing I tell people, baskets. Get some cute baskets to where you can just throw things in quickly and it's out of the way. And get yourself one really large basket that you can scoop things in and throw it in your trunk whenever you're walking out the door.
Right.
So that's a tip that I give to people. Every house I list that somebody lives in, get yourself a big basket that you can.
Well, do you tell your clients that they should take like personal pictures off the walls and things like that?
I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah. The only thing is if there's something that could be offensive or
course.
distasteful
Yeah.
to someone else,
Yeah.
or if the entire, like, you don't have any space on the wall. Sometimes I've seen people say, oh gosh, there's going to be a lot of nail holes to patch. But for the most part, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's tastefully done, I don't.
I know that, and I just think that with having personal photos and everything, other people are going to come in and see, and it just makes them feel good knowing that it's a family home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know some people that go in and tell them to remove all of them, and I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand.
Well, I'm one that goes and looks at the pictures.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking for anything that's changed.
Yeah.
Especially, is there a husband not there anymore in the pictures from early on to like, and I shouldn't tell this next part, but I do this. I go in closets and I look and see if there's one or two sets of clothes.
Yeah. I
done that
think
too.
a divorce house is really easy to spot whenever you go in, especially if it's a divorce house where the husband's still there and the wife's left.
That's neat. That's, yeah.
You can definitely.
Yeah.
There's crumbs on the counter. It kind of smells like, I don't know, socks and motor oil and pizza, and maybe some sort of Glade candle that they burned or something they sprayed.
Not much furniture.
Not much furniture. Yeah. So there are certain. That's a. Where I'll walk in. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a divorce situation here.
I was at a house several years ago out in Brookview, and it was one of those salt boxes that they have out there, which it means it's too big, 2-story. And anyway, divorce situation. The guy, he had a house, and this is a over 3,000 square foot house. There is a TV, a recliner, and a bed. That's all he had. She'd taken everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Ashley Wilkinson on the team and I just listed one is a divorce situation, and that there's almost no furniture there.
Yeah. You can walk in and kind of tell that it's there is not a woman's touch in the house.
Now I showed one in Newburgh once. It was pretty obvious. There was a family photo with the kids and her, and you could see where they cut somebody out.
Oh,
She'd just take scissors in, and I told my people, I said, this is a divorce situation. How do you know? I said, look at this picture. Yeah.
There were signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
some other things, whenever someone's listing a house, clean your ceiling fans. That's a huge one. Because it's something that you don't always notice. And I just actually cleaned the ceiling fan in my bedroom. It was so gross. But I was sick and I was in bed all weekend and I was looking at this disgustingly dirty ceiling fan. I'm like, as soon as I feel better, I'm going to get that cleaned up. And I did. But I probably hadn't done it since I moved into my house in 2020. So those are easy things to forget to do. You just don't pay attention to it. But whenever
Events at the top.
Yes.
Here
yes.
I am doing Charlie, using my hands to show things.
You're right. Yeah.
Hey, look at the radio and look at Kathy.
It does make a difference, though,
Yes.
whenever you bring buyers through a house, and they notice something little like that, and they're like, "Oh, it's dirty in here," even if it's not dirty. That's just normal dirt. You live there, but it gives people that feeling, and you don't want them to have that feeling whenever they come in.
Right.
So that's a big one. Just going and the vents and ceiling fans and.
If you're representing investors, if you're listening for them, one of the bad habits their guys have gotten, they don't pay attention to it too often, is the bathtub is a catch-all. Mm-hmm. They'll throw tools, everything, all this stuff in the bathtub. So the people are going, and I learned the hard way not to do this. They said, "Look, go ahead and let us in. We know we're going to love this house." Mm-hmm. And too many times I've done it, and they did. They love the house. They get that bathroom and see that dirty tub.
Yeah,
breaks a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you'll get sellers that they're in such a hurry to get on the market that they don't want to do these things first, and it's very important.
Yeah.
For the seller to get these things done beforehand. It really is true that first impressions are everything.
Make up your beds.
Right.
Make sure your beds are made.
And having things, having people say, "Oh, go ahead and list it," whenever you don't have just use your cell phone pictures and then have the professional pictures put on later. No, you want it to hit the market with those good pictures and with it looking good then, not, "Oh, well, I'll do it this week," while you've had 5 or 6 showings in and out, or you've had people overlook your house, because it wasn't its best. And once they've been in and they move on, very rarely do they come back. I mean, it's not that it never happens. Their first choice might have fallen through.
Right.
But, you want yours to be the one they do come back to if they move on to another one and it falls through. So, first impressions are really big. That's another inexpensive thing. As we were bringing up, cutting your grass and, getting mulch put down, painting your front door, a fresh coat of paint on the front door can really.
That's true.
It can, if the front door looks beat up, you just get the feeling that the whole house is beat up, or it's just not as taken care of as, it doesn't give that warm, fuzzy feeling. So.
Well, and Candace also, in Trevor Meese, who's on our team, he has an office there, and Candace has his office full of staging.
Yeah. My car's full of staging. My garage is full of it. I've got a room in my basement. I've got a lot of stuff. So that's something, if you're ever needing something for a house, there's plenty there.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what do you use to stage, Candace? What do you...
Well, most of the time, if somebody lives in a house, I don't stage it. I'll go in and I'll tell them, items that it might be helpful if they removed them, to kind of open things up. But on a vacant house, I'll go in and I don't bring in furniture. Although Kylena did do a little bit of, she'd bring in some furniture. But I'll bring in fresh towels and put them in the bathroom and, some cute stuff for the kitchen and always a fresh doormat outside. And just where it's not a cold, empty house. You want people to at least be able to envision themselves living there.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times whenever it's a cold, empty house, it's a little harder for, people are visual people. You put some cute stuff out and they're like, oh, this is a cute little kitchen, and then that's basically what I do.
Well, it's just like in an occupied house when you've got people that have got really, really nice furniture, and people say, "Oh, look how good this looks. Ours will look so good in here," and many times their house is not going to look like that, because they don't, they may not have, that nice furniture, but by having the furniture, which is all part of staging, if you got an occupied house, it is, it's got them thinking about what, how things will look.
Could do. Yeah. It gets them daydreaming about what they're going to do to that house whenever it becomes theirs, and that's huge. So, are there any other things that you guys can think of that getting the gutters cleaned out? That's a big one. Go ahead and do that, because an inspector is going to point it out. And even though, and my gutters right now are probably full, but it does give an idea to people that, like, well, what else have they neglected? Even though it's, I live in a neighborhood it's an old neighborhood with a lot of big trees, so my gutters fill up quick. But if I had my house for sale, I wouldn't want people walking and thinking, okay, this has been neglected. What else has been neglected? Yeah. So, so those are just some tips that we, go through. Any kind of crazy colors and rooms. I had one house that the entire room, ceiling, walls, everything was a royal blue. I mean, it was like, you walked in and it was a lot. It was a whole lot. So that was one that I suggested maybe we should at least paint the ceiling. But so those are things that I do.
Any other ideas, Kathy, what you do?
Whenever it's the weather's really cold or really hot, either way, and you're showing a house, make sure in the wintertime that you have your heat on, so when the clients walk in that they're not freezing, because if they're really cold, they just can't concentrate on the house. And the same with the heat if it's really hot.
Oh, I agree. And but I also lost my train of thought too. I was thinking about something else. Somebody pick me up here, Candace.
Well, I've got Kelly on here. Her son just came out of surgery, so I'm getting back with her on what she needs.
That's great.
Is he doing okay?
He is doing okay. So he's in recovery right now.
Kelly's our transaction coordinator and also a very good agent.
Yes, she is. She does a very good job as far as, with her clients, and then everything with the transaction stuff. She's done an excellent job coming in and helping get our files together. Yes.
And we are down to 1 minute to go. Candace, again, how can they get a hold of you?
They can reach me on the team phone, and that's 812-430-1708, or they can call me on my cell phone, and that's 812-455-6338.
Kathy, how can they get a hold of you?
The same office number or my mobile number, 812-499-8872.
And Charlie Butler, if we can't sell your home, we'll buy it. 812-499-7758. And maybe next week we'll find out about Candace's, her boyfriend's heads, or freezer and heads, or heads and freezer.
I hope not.
Yeah. Well, if Candace isn't here, you'll know what,
Just look for an odd key that he's carrying
so,
right.
So Kathy, thanks for joining us the last couple of weeks.
Well, thank you for having me.
You've done a great job, and we really appreciate your insight.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to being very, very successful this year.
Great.
Best I've ever done, I hope.
I hope so.
Me too.
So for Candace DeArmond, Kathy Francis, Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team. This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is News Talk 1280 WGBF.